Do AI engineers currently possess the necessary skills and training to handle sensitive data sets, such as those containing racial slurs? Do they have the necessary abilities to balance the need to filter harmful content with also the need to preserve marginalized voices? How should they deal with such ethical challenges?
Yeah, that's a great question. And I guess the short answer is no, I don't think they have the training at the moment. Um, However, I think that there are a lot of professionals who deal with the same kind of complexities that also don't have sufficient training to handle them well. Um, Today, for example, we are still trying to figure out um, how do we train educators to balance these very complex social dynamics and sensitive information while doing their jobs. But I think that in my research, talking to a lot of AI engineers at companies, a lot of them are aware that there are ethical issues. So it's not that they don't care. I think it's that they haven't been given the tools and information to know what to do about it. And we've done this in other professions. Um, and people will say, yeah, but we're not very good at doing this. And their examples would be, for example, everyone hates lawyers. They say lawyers are dishonest and manipulative, and there is definitely truth to that. But at a baseline, there are certain obligations that I, as an attorney, have. And if I don't meet those obligations, I can be sued or disbarred. For example, Rudy Giuliani was famously disbarred in DC, in the American courts, for his unethical behavior. And so that can happen. And so we do have those kinds of reforms. And it means that in law school, I take classes about how do I balance serving my client versus being honest to the judge. So, for example, my client asks me to lie, but I have a duty of honesty to the judge. Like, how do you balance that? And so we could be doing better, but those classes exist. And right now, very, very few engineering programs have ethics classes. So we can be doing something. But on top of that, I think that there's also we need to have a change in the way that development happens within companies. So I wrote with like a friend and colleague, Stephen Keltz, who's an AI ethics professor at Princeton, about how agile development is inconsistent with AI responsibility, or at least there's some tension there. So at companies, as an engineer, you're asked to build a specific feature and build it as quickly as you can. And the agile process is basically the way you are trying to maximize efficiency. Like, how can you build this out as quick as possible? And so it involves like lots of teams kind of doing work simultaneously, doing it without needing to like constantly go back and check with somebody whether or not you're doing the right thing. It's all meant to like improve speed. But what that means is that people aren't really documenting what they're doing. They're not really bringing in outside consultants. They're not checking constantly with the customer or the user, like, oh, is this what you actually wanted? And if you want ethical AI, if you want engineers to be able to balance all of these various considerations, I think that you need to slow down the development process and have individuals that are trained ethicists, trained with these specific issues. Like, for example, how do you anticipate a tool being used in a discriminatory way, and have them capable of talking to the engineers to figure out, what does red teaming look like? At what stage should we be doing this kind of testing? How do we document these considerations? How do you get feedback from your users to see whether they're experiencing certain things? So anyway, it's like we need to change kind of the way these teams are structured and how fast they work.